Right now, while you're watching this, there is someone with your same education, maybe less, who is quietly building a level of financial freedom that will take them out of the system forever. They're not smarter than you. They're not more lucky. They're not better connected. They've just trained their mind to obey a different set of rules. And I need you to hear this because it might sting. Wealth is not first about money. Wealth is first about discipline. If your mind is undisciplined, your bank account will always be controlled by someone else. If your mind is disciplined, someone can take your job, take your industry, even take your country, and you will rebuild. That's not motivational hype. That is Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The moment you stop blaming circumstance and start training your mind, you stop being owned. Understand, money doesn't make you free. Discipline makes you free. Money just follows. And if you still don't believe that it'll give you the ultimate test in a second, Act 1, the Emperor Test. Listen carefully. Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow morning and everything is gone. Your job, your title, your comfort gone. Your phone battery blinks at 12%. Your rent is due in 3 days. And your bank account shows just $47. Now picture this. Sitting right beside you is not a friend, not a mentor, but Marcus Aurelius himself, Emperor of Rome, commander of legions, philosopher of discipline, ruler of the known world in the year 170 AD. And somehow, through time and fate, he's here in your small apartment looking at your cracked phone screen, your pile of unpaid bills, your worry. Same situation, same pressure, same $47. What does he do? Does he panic? Does he blame the economy, the system, or his bad luck? Does he cry out, "It's impossible now. The rich already took everything"? No, he doesn't. He sits, he breathes, he observes, and then he begins to rebuild quietly, patiently, deliberately. Not from emotion, but from principle. Because Marcus Aurelius never measured wealth in comfort. He measured it in control of his thoughts, his reactions, and his actions. That's what made him unstoppable. Now imagine him standing in your apartment. He picks up your phone, scrolls through the endless noise notifications, gossip, comparison, chaos, and he smiles. He's seen this before, not in the form of technology, but in the form of temptation. In ancient Rome, it was the games, the theater, the politics of the Senate. Distraction has always existed, only the format changes. He would probably write something in your notebook the same way he wrote in Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the essence of Stoicism. The reminder that the one thing you can always own is your mind. And the one who cannot master his mind will never master his fortune. So here's what I call the Emperor Test. If Marcus Aurelius were placed in your shoes today, what would he do? He would first look at his resources, not with fear, but with clarity. He would see time as capital, energy as currency, attention as gold. Every minute a coin from the treasury of his mind. And he would spend it only on things that create value, not vanity. You see, according to research by the American Psychological Association, the average person spends more than 2 hours and 27 minutes a day on social media, mostly reacting, not creating. That's over 34 full workdays every year, stolen not by others, but by your own undisciplined mind. Marcus would call that theft self-inflicted theft. He'd sit, reflect, and remind himself, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Replace good man with wealthy person, and that's the blueprint. You don't talk about wealth, you become it. Marcus wouldn't chase trends, fads, or luck. He would start where control begins, within. He would ask, what can I control today? And he would answer, my thoughts, my habits, my effort. Everything else is noise. That's why he'd start rebuilding, not with money, but with mindset. Because wealth to the Stoics is not luxury, it's liberty. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from dependency. Freedom from the mental slavery of needing approval or applause. The poor man is not the one without money, he's the one who cannot live without it. And that's the true poverty of our time. Now let me tell you a story. Daniel, 29, a software engineer, good income, always busy, but always broke. Why? Because he's addicted to escape. Every time stress hits, he spends. Every time fear whispers, he scrolls. Every time anxiety rises, he distracts himself. He doesn't lack money, he lacks mastery. Marcus would look at Daniel and see a man chained not by iron but by habit. He would wake before dawn, plan his day in silence, and lead his mind like an army. He would track his spending not from fear but from respect. Because as he said, to govern Rome, one must first govern the self. Daniel governs nothing, not his mind, not his emotions, not his time. That's why the emperor test matters. It's not about your salary or your luck. It's about who owns your attention. Because whoever controls your attention controls your destiny. Marcus once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Today we might say it's not poverty you should fear, it's living your whole life waiting for permission to begin. Think about it. Most people don't live. They comply. They wait for the right time, the safe path, the perfect plan. Meanwhile, life moves on without them. The Stoic looks at this and says, what are you waiting for? The future is now. Let's look at the data again. According to CNBC, 61% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, including people earning over $100,000 a year. That's not an income problem. That's a discipline problem. Because when lifestyle rises faster than wisdom, chaos begins. Marcus would call it enslavement to desire. The more you have head right, the more you are owned unless you master what you desire. That's why he lived simply even as emperor. He had palaces, armies, servants, yet he spent his nights writing about self-control. He knew what we forget: wealth without restraint is just a prettier kind of prison. Now let's get practical. If Marcus were alive today, rebuilding from nothing, here's what he'd do. Step 1. He'd audit his impulses. Every time he reached for his phone or made an unplanned purchase, he'd write it down. He wouldn't judge it, he'd study it. Because awareness is the first currency of mastery. Step 2. He'd reclaim his mornings. The first hour of each day would belong to him, not the world. He'd meditate, plan, and prepare. Marcus used to start his mornings reminding himself, when you wake up, tell yourself today, I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful. In our world that translates to, the markets will be chaotic. Social media will be noisy, but I will not be moved. Step 3, he'd reinvest his focus. Every hour not spent reacting would be an hour invested in creation, learning, building, improving. According to the University of London, just one focused hour a day of deliberate practice can make you world-class at almost anything in 5 years. 5 years. That's less than the time most people spend binge-watching TV. So the question is not, can you succeed? The question is, can you stay disciplined long enough to deserve success? Marcus would remind you, nowhere you can go is more peaceful than your own soul. But how many of us have ever entered it? He'd tell you to stop escaping your potential and face it. Because wealth is not just a financial game, it's a spiritual test. It's not about how much you can earn, but how much you can endure. Not how much you can acquire, but how much you can control. Even as Emperor Marcus feared one thing more than war, losing control of his mind. He wrote it is possible to be happy even in a palace. He wasn't bragging, he was warning. Even surrounded by luxury, you can still be a slave if you let desire own you. Wealth doesn't change who you are, it amplifies it. That's why this first test matters, because before you can manage money, you must master yourself. Before you can multiply your income, you must discipline your impulses. Before you can build wealth, you must build willpower. Now take a breath. Picture Marcus standing by your window at dawn, watching the lights spill over your city. He turns to you and says quietly but firmly, ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? Because unnecessary actions consume your only non-renewable resource, time. That's your reminder. The Emperor test isn't about surviving poverty. It's about proving you can handle power. And your test begins now. Tomorrow morning, you will face the same distractions, the same temptations, the same storms. But now you'll carry a different compass, the Stoic discipline that turns chaos into control. Because in the next part, we'll go deeper. We'll uncover the 4 Stoic wealth laws, the principles Marcus Aurelius would use today to rebuild an empire from nothing. And if you apply them, truly apply them, your relationship with money will never be the same again. Act 2, the 4 Stoic wealth laws. Law 1, you do not deserve comfort. You deserve the consequences of your habits. Modern mindset says I work hard, I deserve nice things. Stoic mindset says my current situation is the result of my standards. Nothing more, nothing less. That sounds cold, right? Good, reality is cold. Most people think they're broke because life is unfair. But if we actually audit their last 30 days, we don't see unfairness. We see undisciplined patterns, impulse spending, doom scrolling instead of building skills, complaining instead of studying, searching for shortcuts instead of building leverage. Marcus would call this slavery, because if you are controlled by impulse, you are not free even if you make $20,000 a month. Wealth Law 1 is brutal. Stop negotiating with your weaknesses. Practical drill. For the next 7 days, write down every purchase over $5 and tag it with one word: need or ego. At the end of the week, total the ego column. That number is exactly how much you pay to stay trapped. Law 2. Money follows value, not hours. The average person thinks like this: how can I get paid more for my time? The Stoic thinks like this: how can I build something that creates value whether I'm present or not? This is the difference between worker thinking and builder thinking. Marcus Aurelius did not physically swing a sword in every battle. He built systems. He created structure. He placed capable people in the right positions and let the system multiply his decisions. That is literally the blueprint of wealth in today's world that looks like building digital assets, building audience, building products, building automation, building businesses that solve painful problems, investing in machines and code that work when you sleep. Ask this question daily. If I stop working for 30 days, does money keep moving toward me, or does it run away from me? If money runs away from you the moment you stop showing up, you are not financially free. You're just well paid. Practical drill. List 3 problems you've solved in your own life. Health, money, productivity, relationships, anything. Now ask, can I package this solution so that 10,000 other people can get the benefit without me personally being there? That is a business seed. That is leverage. Law 3. Detach emotions from money, attach emotions to discipline. Most people get emotional about money. I'm scared of losing it. I feel guilty charging for my work. I feel jealous of people who have more. Stoics refuse that game. Marcus Aurelius wrote about death almost every day. Not to be dark, but to stay clear. Nothing is permanent. If nothing is permanent, then money is not an identity. It's just a tool. Why is this important? Because emotional money decisions are almost always weak decisions, panic selling, lifestyle flexing to impress people. You don't even respect buying because you're bored, upgrading because you're insecure. Stoic Wealth Law 3. Your feelings do not get a vote in your long-term plan. Does this investment build freedom? Does this habit build autonomy? Does this decision move you toward or away from being owned by someone else? That's it. Practical drill. Before any non-essential purchase, pause and ask, will this increase my power or just sedate my anxiety for 24 hours? If it's the second one, don't buy it. Sit with the discomfort instead. That moment right there is where most people lose their entire future. Law 4, think in decades, act today. Here is where average people permanently lose. Average mindset, I want results now. Stoic mindset, I build now so my future self bows in gratitude. Marcus Aurelius made decisions for Rome that he would never personally live long enough to enjoy. That is long-term thinking at emperor scale. Translate that to money. The poor mindset is addicted to the dopamine of, I bought something new. The wealthy mindset is addicted to the quiet satisfaction of, my future is taken care of. Here's the honest truth. If you cannot delay gratification, you will be rented by the people who can. That's how the system works. Wealth Law 4 says, your future freedom is created by boring, almost invisible actions. You repeat when nobody is clapping for you. Learning skills at night instead of consuming content. Investing consistently instead of feeling rich for a weekend. Building small systems that stack and compound over years. Practical drill. Write this sentence somewhere. You're forced to see it daily. Would future me thank me for what I'm doing right now? If the answer is no too many days in a row, understand you are actively building the life you say you don't want. Act 3. What Weath actually is. You've made it this far. That already makes you different. Most people stop when the truth gets uncomfortable. You didn't. You've walked through the fire of discipline, learned the blueprint of value, and now we arrive at the heart of it all. What is wealth really? Let's strip away the noise. Forget the luxury feeds the cars, the watches, the freedom lifestyle sold by people still in debt. Forget the performance of success and ask the ancient question that Marcus Aurelius himself would have asked. What does it mean to live in alignment with nature? To the Stoics, nature meant order, the harmony of things functioning as they were designed. So what is wealth? Wealth is living in harmony with your own design. And here's the paradox: you were not designed for comfort. You were designed for creation. Marcus ruled an empire, yet he wrote nightly about restraint, humility, and service. He knew that external power without internal order is chaos wearing a crown. He wrote, "No man can lose either the past or the future, for how can one be deprived of what he does not possess?" He understood something we forget: you never own wealth. You steward it. So let's redefine it. Wealth is not luxury. Wealth is control. Control of your time, control of your choices, control of your reactions, control of your principles. That's it. Not millions in a bank, not applause from strangers. Just control the power to act according to your values, not your fears. Because the moment you can say, I don't need this job, I don't need that client, I don't need to betray myself to survive, that moment you are wealthier than 99% of the world. Freedom isn't when you can buy anything. Freedom is when nothing can buy you. Let that sink in. If they can buy your time, you're an employee. If they can buy your silence, you're a commodity. If they can buy your integrity, you're a slave. But if you can be bought, you are free. That's the highest form of wealth. Seneca wrote, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." The modern world measures wealth by accumulation. The Stoic measures it by autonomy. And autonomy begins when you stop asking, how much can I earn, and start asking, how little do I need to compromise? Let me tell you a story. Two men, same city, same income, $120,000 a year. One spends $110,000 to impress others. He drives the car, wears the brand, takes the trips, but inside he's owned. Every decision filtered through anxiety. Can I keep this up? The other man lives simply. He invests, builds systems, protects his mornings, guards his mind. He could quit tomorrow and still breathe easy. Who's richer? The first looks wealthy. The second is wealthy because wealth at its core is invisible. It's not the house, it's the time spent inside it. It's not the car, it's the peace of the person driving it. It's not the bank balance, it's the ability to say no without fear. Marcus Aurelius would have called that virtue. He'd remind you a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. If your ambition is comfort, you'll earn dependency. If your ambition is mastery, you'll earn freedom. The Stoic idea of wealth was simple. To need less is to possess more. To control desire is to command destiny. Look around our world. Most people don't own their possessions own them. They work jobs, they hate to buy things, they don't need to impress people they don't even like. They live in quiet desperation, performing success while negotiating their souls. Seneca saw it centuries ago. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. So if you want real wealth, start where it actually exists within. The bank account of the mind, the investments of character, the compound interest of discipline. Because when your mind is stable, money is just a multiplier. But when your mind is chaotic, money only multiplies your chaos. That's why so many people win the lottery and lose it all within years. They built income before identity. They gained riches before reason. They mastered money before mastering themselves. Marcus would call that imbalance, and nature always corrects imbalance. Let's ground this in reality. In a study from Harvard Business Review, over 78% of people earning six figures still report financial stress. Why? Because income doesn't equal control. Their lifestyle inflated faster than their discipline. Wealth is not about adding, it's about subtracting. Subtract debt, subtract noise, subtract the need to prove anything. Every subtraction is a form of addition to your freedom. Think of it like this: discipline builds income. Simplicity protects income. Wisdom multiplies income. That is the Stoic trifecta of freedom. So let's test your wealth, not your bank balance, but your behavioral balance. Here are the 4 questions of Stoic wealth. If I lost my job tomorrow, how long could I maintain peace? If someone insulted me publicly, could I stay composed? If everything I owned disappeared, would I still know who I am? If I became rich overnight, would I still live by the same values? Your answers reveal your true net worth measured in control, not cash. Marcus once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He meant stop wasting your life chasing numbers that mean nothing when the clock runs out. Because wealth without purpose is just delay before emptiness. The Stoics didn't chase luxury, they chased tranquility. They practiced gratitude like a discipline. They found richness in restraint. Epictetus was born a slave, yet he taught that true freedom comes only to those who master desire. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." He owned nothing, yet his teachings outlived empires. That is wealth. Now bring this into the modern world. In 2025, the average person touches their phone 2,117 times per day. Every tap is a transaction attention traded for stimulation. We are wealthier in tools than any generation before us and poorer in focus than any that ever lived. Marcus would see this as spiritual bankruptcy, the richest generation materially, the poorest mentally. He'd say you have built machines that think for you, but forgotten how to think for yourself. And that's why the Stoic definition of wealth matters more now than ever. Because the real currency of the future is not money, it's clarity. In a world of distraction, the person who can focus is the one who owns everything. Let's make this practical. The Stoic wealth drill for Act 3. Tonight, sit down and list every recurring expense in your life, not just financial, but mental. Every subscription, every social obligation, every digital addiction. Then next to each, write freedom building or freedom destroying. Cancel one from the second column immediately, not tomorrow, tonight. Feel the discomfort, that's your spirit reclaiming control. Do it again next week. And again. Each time you'll feel lighter, more focused, more dangerous. Because the man who needs less cannot be controlled, and the woman who cannot be controlled cannot be bought. That is sovereignty, and sovereignty is the ultimate wealth. Marcus wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He didn't say you might, he said you will. Because inner power is a law, not a luxury. When you obey that law, money becomes your servant, not your master. When you forget it, money becomes your leash. So let's summarize the entire Stoic system you've learned. Law 1, you do not deserve comfort, you deserve the consequences of your habits. Law 2, money follows value, not hours. Law 3, detach emotion from money, attach emotion to discipline. Law 4, think in decades, act today. And beneath them all this truth. Wealth is not about possession. It's about power, the power to live by principle. If you are rich in things, but poor in principle, you are still enslaved. If you are rich in principle, you will rebuild even after losing everything. That's what Marcus knew. That's what every Stoic practiced. And that's what you can embody starting now. So as we close this chapter, imagine the emperor standing before you once more. He is not in a palace. He is in your apartment. He looks around the bills, the phone, the noise, and then looks at you. His eyes are calm, certain. He says wealth is not having much, but needing little. Then he turns to leave. But before he does, he pauses and adds, "Remember, discipline is destiny." The door closes. Silence. You are alone, but for the first time, you don't feel small. You feel sovereign, because you finally understand wealth isn't something you earn. It's something you embody. And now it's your turn to build it, not with noise, not with haste, but with the quiet, relentless strength of a Stoic mind. Take this message and live it. Let every action be an investment in your freedom. Let every decision remind you no one can force you unless you let them. That's the end of the lesson and the beginning of your empire. Here's what I want you to do next. If this hit you, not just felt nice, but actually hit you, then don't just keep scrolling. Build with us. On this channel, Making Life Better, we are not chasing luxury. We are training for freedom. So subscribe. Rewatch this with a notebook. And in the comments, write one thing. What is one habit that is quietly keeping me financially weak? Say it publicly. Own it. That is the first act of discipline, and discipline is how you buy your freedom. Because in the end, your bank account doesn't free you. Your mindset does. The money just follows.